Hey everyone, what's up? Today I'm actually going to be showing how to install Windows Deployment Service, right, on Windows Server 2012. Alright, so WDS is basically a useful feature, I should say, that allows anyone basically, okay, be a system administrator or a network administrator to actually deploy operating system over multiple computers within a network. Right, so the reason you maybe want to use WDS is because, for instances, in an environment, right, you may have multiple computers ranging from about 20 computers. You can have hundreds of computers, you can have thousands of computers, right? And let's say you want to upgrade operating systems, let's say from Windows 7 to Windows 10. So instead of you having to go by each computer with a flash drive or any kind of bootable medium, right, you can actually use WDS and deploy operating systems over multiple computers, right? So this basically is a more efficient way and actually saves your time, because if you have to sit down by each computer and let's say each operating system take 30 minutes to install, you can just imagine how much time it will take to install, operating system on maybe 20 computers or hundreds of computers, right? Whereas you could use WDS and just deploy it from Windows Server itself. Right, so to install WDS, right, that's going normal option, manage, rules and features. I'm gonna click next. I'm looking for the WDS Windows Deployment Service. Right, go to add feature, click next. I'll click next again. Right, I have these two options here, deployment chatbot over. Basically these two it does have some slight differences with it. I don't think there's anything much, but let's go and leave it as default for now. Click next. I will start if necessary. I will click install. Right, so while this is installing, I will just pause the video for a while and I will get back when it's done. Right, so I'm back. Our WDS role is installed. As you can see in the left hand pane here, the rules appear. Now I want to go and actually configure this role. Right, so go to tools and you see WDS appear, Windows Deployment Service. I'm going to click on it. And below here you see servers. We'll just click the drop down arrow. You see laptops.com. This is my domain, right? And there it's saying configuration is required, right? So I'm just going to right click on my domain and we configure server, right, and the wizard will just guide us through. Right, so we're going to click next, right, but here they just give you the prerequisites, what's required, such things as ADDS, DHCP, DNS, right, all these things are prerequisites that must be installed in order for WDS to work. Right, let's go click next. Right, you can have this set up as an integrated Active Directory or a standalone server that operates by itself, but I just going to leave it as default. We'll click next. Right, this location here is the default location where all the images will be installed. Right, so I just leave it as that. Click next. Right here, they're just giving you a prompt that for better performance, you don't want to have the WS images on the same volume. Right, the reason for this is, as they say, for performance and reliability. Right, because if you have multiple images, right, you don't want to have it on the same volume, because when it's time for the client machine to retrieve the data from the server, it will actually degrade the performance of the server. So therefore, normally a system administrator, whoever, will have these images on a separate drive, to kind of improve or stabilize the network, right, or the server itself. I'm just going to leave it as default since I only have one drive. I'm going to click yes. Right, this is the DHCP configure settings. Let's go next. Right, and these are the PXE options here. PXE is basically a feature, I should say, or option that must be enabled to actually have this PXE boot to work. Right, so for example, like in your on a physical machine, in the BIOS you'll see an option called PXE boot ROM. It could have different names, right? But what this option actually allows it to do, when this option is enabled in the BIOS, it actually tells the system, okay, there's to look for any WDS server on the network itself, right? I think this option is disabled by default in most computer BIOS, but anytime you have to use WDS, you must have this option enabled within your BIOS, PXE boot room, right? So these options basically tells the server what to do if a client machine requests operating system from the server itself. So you could tell the server, you could tell the client machine, okay, well, we do not want to respond to any client computers that are requesting for images. Respond to only known client computers. So this will be actually within Active Directory. So computers that we have within the domain or Active Directory, the server will only respond to these computers, or respond to all client computers known and unknown. So computers that are known to the domain and unknown to the domain, it respond to any computers, right? But I would just leave it as respond to any computers known and unknown, right? And this option checkbox here is require administrator approval. So when this option is required, I think normally they prompt you for administrator credentials when they're trying to pull the image from the server. Yeah, leave that as default. Go click next, right? And here I'll be configuring, starting. Alright, I got this error. Normally I just get this, I don't know what error about, but we sometimes get an error sometimes when you install WDS. Right, but here now, on your right hand corner, you'll see some options here. You'll see install images, boot images, pending modifications and drivers. Right, but for now we want to focus on install and images and boot images. I'm going to explain into this in a while, what basically these two is. Right, but we want to get the install and boot images. So on my server, I actually have a Windows 7 image here. Right, it's not extracted, so I'm just going to mount it. Right, the ISO must be on your virtual machine, or if you have server directly installed on your machine, you could just have the ISO anywhere on your computer, just for reference. Right, so the install images, right, is basically the installation files, right? So when your machine actually requests, an image from the server, basically it will look for the install images to actually install the files from. Right, so I'm going to click right click on install images. We'll click add install images. Now we create a group. That's going to leave it as default image group 1. We'll click next, and the location of this file will be in the same drive among just now, right, which is the DVDE. And here now I'm going to go in sources folder, because this is where the actual images are situated. So I'm going to sources. I'm going to look for install Vim, right? So this is my install Vim file here, right? So this is where all the installation files is contained. I'm going to click open, click next. Right, I'm going to click next to see all the operating system that are within the installation files appear here, right? Of course, the checkboxes is what you want enable, disable. So if you only want Windows 7 Professional appear when you're booting an operating system, you could just enable it or disable it. Click next again, right? And this may just take a little while. I'm not sure how long, but I'm just going to pause the video until it finishes. Right, so all my install images have been added. Right, so now I'm actually going to add the boot image now. Right, so the same procedure. I'm going to just right click, add boot image. I'm going to browse, and you'll see boot WIM. Right, so this particular file is what the actual client machine would be looking for when it actually looks to boot from the server. Right, so on your physical machine, when you have the PXE boot ROM enabled in your BIOS and you look to boot from it, the actual file that we look for is the boot images. Right, so this must be enabled in order for the entire WDS process to start. Right, so basically these two have been installed, right, and that is basically. So once you have the boot images and the install images configured, right, WDS is basically ready to boot. Right, so I see the boot image is responsible for when your client machine is looking to boot from WDS. Is the first image that it will actually look for, and after the boot process has been passed, it will look for the image, the installed images now. That's actually to start the installation of your operating system, right? Right, so for this option to work, you must start the WDS server. Just right click, go alt that and start. I was gonna error earlier on, but I don't know why. Right, so it has started successfully, and therefore this entire WDS now should actually work once everything is configured properly. Right, so the prerequisites for Active Directory must be installed, DHCP and DNS, because the server machine must be capable of giving out a IP address to the client machines. So therefore WDS process could start. Right, of course you can actually test this as well to actually see if it works. So if you have a next physical machine, laptop, desktop, you can actually plug it into the like a desktop to desktop. You can actually plug it in from a LAN port to the next LAN port, and you can actually get to see how this is work. Right, but you must have the option enable PXE boot room in your BIOS. Right, I think most computers have it disabled by default. Right, but you must have that option enabled for the actual WDS, for the network boot to work. Right, once that is enabled, you just boot from it, and when you boot from it now, you will just see a little prompt. You'll be searching for the WDS server, and when it searches for it, you will see a prompt come up that do you want to boot from the WDS server, and therefore start to load the Windows file. Right, so you can actually test this further on just to make sure it's working. Right, and there's more we could do with WDS as well, such as deploy drivers and whatnot. Right, but basically this is all that's gonna demonstrate for today. Right, so right, basically that's about the WDS. Right, thanks for watching and hope you all enjoy.